Welcome to Home of Wines, the space where wine is not just a drink, but an experience to live, to share, and to understand. Here, we don't just talk about labels and glasses. We talk about stories, secrets, traditions, and curiosities that turn wine into a true art form. So, if you've ever wondered what lies behind a great bottle, or if you'd like to enjoy wine more deeply and more fully, this podcast is for you. Make yourself comfortable, pour yourself a glass if you wish, and join us. Today's topic, the history of Château Margaux in Bordeaux, France, an icon among the world's greatest wines. And for this, we are joined by Miguel, our friend, our tasting companion, and the true connoisseur of French wines. He will guide us through the remarkable story of this legendary wine, Château Margaux. But before we begin, let me make a recommendation.
Do you have a passion for wine? And would you like to dive deeper into this fascinating universe? Then I suggest the book Cata de Vinos, Fundamentos y Práctica by José Pradillo. It's your passport to the world of wine. If you love wine and want to go beyond the simple, I like it, this book is for you. You will learn how to decode every bottle, to understand the origin of its aromas and flavors, and to enjoy every sip like a true expert. Look for the link in the description and get your copy on Amazon. Your next tasting begins here.
Thank you, Manuel, for that kind introduction. It is truly an honor to be here in sunny Orlando, Florida, to share with you the story of this iconic wine. And without further delay, let us begin today's journey. Château Margaux, located in the very heart of Bordeaux, represents the epitome of French winemaking prestige and of elegance on the world stage. With more than 5 centuries of history, this chateau has evolved from a simple feudal motte into one of the 5 premier Grand Cru Classé. In the famous classification of 1855, it received nothing less than a perfect score. We are speaking of a wine that has seduced monarchs, intellectuals, presidents, and collectors alike. So get ready, because on this journey, we will encounter anecdotes with Thomas Jefferson, with marshals, bankers, tragic shattered bottles, and also the challenges and triumphs of today. The legend of Château Margaux begins in the 12th century as La Motte de Margaux. Motte means hill or mound, something quite unusual in the flat Médoc. But viticulture truly took flight in the 16th century. The visionary Pierre de Listonnac, between 1572 and 1582, radically transformed the estate, tearing out cereals, planting vines, and paving the way toward excellence. Within just a few decades, Margaux had reached 265 hectares, of which 1/3 was devoted to vineyards, a proportion that, surprisingly, remains almost the same to this very day. The 18th century marked another decisive leap forward. Berlin, the chateau's manager, revolutionized winemaking by separating the vinification of red and white grapes, when the custom was to ferment them all together. He also introduced later harvesting hours to avoid dilution of grapes by morning dew. With these innovations, Margaux's wines began conquering palates far beyond France. In 1705, the London Gazette announced the first auction of Great Crus with 230 barrels of Margaux's. And in 1771, a vintage of Margaux became the first claret ever listed in Christie's catalog. Among many stories, one stands out. Thomas Jefferson, then ambassador to France, became an enthusiastic admirer of Margaux. He ranked it among the very best in his personal classification. He even ordered 180 bottles to take back to the United States. We could say he was, unknowingly, the first great wine influencer. But not all stories end well. In 1989, a bottle of Château Margaux from 1787, supposedly belonging to Jefferson, was broken in a New York restaurant. It had been valued at $500,000. The insurance paid $225,000, a liquid tragedy worthy of a novel. In 1810, Bertrand Duat, Marquis de la Colonne, ordered the chateau rebuilt in Neo-Palladian style by architect Louis Combes. Thus was born the iconic palace that many called the Versailles of the Médoc. A few years later, at the Paris Universal Exposition of 1855, Napoleon III commissioned the famous Bordeaux wine classification, and Margaux received the highest distinction possible, Premier Grand Cru Class A, with a perfect 20 out of 20. Only 4 chateaux reached that honor, and Margaux was forever enshrined at the very top. The rest of the story unfolds with resilience. Plagues such as phylloxera, economic crises, the appearance of its second wine in 1908, the arrival of new owners, modernization in the 20th century, and finally, the international vision of Corinne Mincelopoulos in the 1980s. Today, with a new generation at the helm, Margaux remains a symbol: tradition and modernity, elegance and persistence. Its unique terroir, its deep gravel soils, its temperate oceanic climate, and its meticulous management continued to produce wines of extraordinary elegance, longevity, and complex bouquet. Château Margaux is not just wine, it is a living history, a bridge between centuries, a lesson in resilience, and an invitation to enjoy the art of living.
Thank you, Miguel, for sharing your knowledge and passion. I hope this episode of Home of Wines has awakened your curiosity and your desire to keep exploring stories from the vast universe of wine. We invite you to follow us on social media, to share this episode with your friends and family, fellow wine lovers, and, of course, to leave us your comments and questions. Your interaction is the driving force behind Home of Wines. Let's continue discovering together the wonders that wine has to offer. And remember, as we always say here, wine is best appreciated when it is better understood.